Alrighty. Good evening. This is King Bob, and a grand welcome to all my loyal subjects out there. We are going to be starting a new series tonight. We're going to be flying in Flight Sim 2024 from the southernmost to the northernmost airports in the world. So this is episode 1. There's going to be 6 of them. Tonight we are flying from Puerto Williams in Chile to Punta Arenas in Chile. And the first leg of the flight is going to be on an RJ Professional by Just Flight, RJ 85 to be exact. So let's get the show on the road, all right? Might as well show you the route while I'm at it. So basically, we're going to be going from Puerto Williams to Punta Arenas, and you could see that right now. Should be a pleasant flight. Hopefully, I don't make too many mistakes. I'm still learning the RJ Professional, so I have a checklist I printed out myself and or configured myself to get us through this. So let's see where this takes us. Alrighty, so back into the old aeroplano, as they say. All right, let's configure this guy. So I'm going to use my checklist here. So let's configure. Weather radar can go on to standby. We're going to set the tilt to plus 15. Transponder can go to TAR, or I'm sorry, standby for the time being, which it's at, which is great. Let's power up the plane. We'll set the nav lights to on. And the battery 1 and battery 2 can come on. And we'll start to let the plane fire up. Very cool plane. Kind of a regional jet, I guess. We're flying for DAP Airlines, which is a Chilean airline named after Domingo Andrea. And I'm not going to be able to pronounce his last name. Sevic, I think it is. DAP. Antarctic Airways is part of that airline. So let's get this show on the road. So back into here, we can go and finish the initial setup. We're going to turn on the yaw dampers. We're going to turn on the autopilot masters. We're going to turn on the avionics masters. Anti-skid can come to on. Yellow and green lift spoilers to on. Both bus ties. Bus ties, where be they? There we go. Both bus ties are set to on, which they are. Standby inverter and generator to arm, and I believe they're both on the arm position, which they are. Cool. Gen 1 and Gen 4 for the engines should both be set to off, which they are off and off. APU gen comes to on. That's a double click right there for that. Left inner fuel pump comes on so we can get some fuel for the APU. And we're going to flip on the APU. And we're going to watch it rise, rise, rise. Hope you're all having a wonderful weekend out there. I'm going to have a little bit of coffee right now as the APU starts to fire up. Look at that. We got some power, as they say. The APU is alive. I want to put on the APU air, turn on pack 1 to get some air conditioning back into the cabin. And now let's start the boarding and the refueling. So over to the EFB. Let's pull in my flight plan. We're going to go from SCGC, which is Puerto Williams, to SCCI, which is Punta Arenas. And let's import the sim brief profile. We will start refueling. We're going to do instantaneous. And it's refueled. Let's get the passengers boarded.
Boarding is complete.
Hey, the boarding is complete. We like that. Let's hide both yokes because they kind of get in the way. We don't really need them. And we're going to turn both IRSs to align. We'll let that do its thing. That takes some time, so we'll let it do its thing. Why don't I have... Oh, I do have views. Okay. Weird. I thought I had a closer up view, but I guess not. That must be a different plan. It's probably the 350. Okay, so that's page 1 of my checklist done. I'll move over to page 2, and we're going to configure the FMC. First thing you need to do is go to pause init, and copy your last known position, and copy it down into the set IRS position, like so. Click on route. And this is where I made a slight mistake. Bear with me 1 second. Let's go out to my SimBrief downloader. We're going to reload that. Export it out. Cool. And we can add that route. SCGZ. SCCI. 01 company route. That will pull that in. We're going to go to the departure and arrival, and we are taking off on runway 26 today via the Sun L1J SID. No transition. Go back to the departures and arrivals, we're coming in via ILS 25. We'll take the ILS Z25. And the transition will be CF25. Let's take a look at the legs on that to make sure that all makes sense. We got a discontinuity there, which I believe is... Yeah, I don't like that. It's going from that waypoint Vapel to CF25. I think we're going to take out that Vapel waypoint. Let's do this. Let's delete this Vapel waypoint. And we're going to move up CF25. Copy that. To that, and we'll activate that, and we'll execute. So now we should have a flight plan. Looks fantastic. Okay. Beautiful. So now once we get that, it says telling us to enter performance init data. We can clear that message there. Init ref, and this is where we're going to input our performance initialization. So back over to the EFB. And we're looking for the zero fuel weight of 71,400. So 71.4 will be our zero fuel weight. So zero fuel weight 71.4. I'm going to give it 2.0 for reserves. I probably should check that, but we won't. 80.3 gross weight, so that kind of matches up with the gross weight here, so that looks good. We'll execute that. We're going to enter our cruising altitude today, which is what? Let me double check that. To my sim brief plan. I believe it's 18,000 feet. So we're going to cruise at 18,000, so 180. So cruise altitude. I'm not going to worry about cruise winds, ISA, dev, all that happy stuff. We're just going to execute that. And the FMC is pretty much set up for the RJ Professional. Okay, so let's go forward here. We're going to turn on the EFIS 1 on the captain side and the EFIS on the first officer side. Looking good. Looking at my checklist here, it says turn on anti-ice for the 4 engines, even though it's not going to be required today, but we'll put it on anyways. Flight deck emergency light to on, so that is down there. Set landing altitude of the airport. So let's take a look to see what that is. We'll pull up a Navigraph charts for that. And actually we won't, because it's over. We could use the charts inside the plane itself. So we're going to SCCI. Arrival. Let's do the reference. No, we'll do the, I guess it's going to be under, no? Taxi. There we go. No, you know what? We'll do the approach for runway 25, which we're going to do, which is that. And the altitude of the runway is 112 feet. So we need to set that here. Landing altitude 100, 200. We'll set it for 100 because 100 is closer to 112 than 200 is. Looks good. And that is page 1 of my checklist. So let's move on. Crinkle, crinkle, crinkle. You can hear the paper in the background. So as my plane starts to come alive, we should see if our IRSs have been aligned, and we can switch them over to nav. Let's take a look-see. It is, so we'll set both of these to nav to get those going. And then continue up top. Ice detect switch to on. Done. Cabin emergency and no smoking to on. There is no smoking, and cabin emergency is to on. We will tell the peeps in the back to fasten their seatbelts, which we've just done. Now we will configure the TRP, which is right here. So we're going to take off with flaps 18. So you basically click on this click spot right here. We're going to not do a toga takeoff. We're going to do a reduced takeoff, a reduction in power, basically. And let's set the temp to 30. Click on that spot again, and our V1 should be 123, which it is. 123 for V plus, and 174, which is VFTO. Looks good. So up on the V2, we're going to set it to, on the MCP, we're going to make sure our V2 is set, which it is 131. Up top, we're going to turn the beacon light on. We are going to turn the APU air off. And the packs off. And we're going to fire up the engines. We don't need a pushback today because we can maneuver through here to get out to runway 26 over there. So let's go ahead and do that now. So the next procedure is to basically fire up the engine. So we're going to bring all 4 fuel pumps to on. Start power is going to be set for norm, which it is. We're going to start engine 4 first. Start master comes on. It's saying, hey, you're good to go. And we hold the start engine for a second. And then we wait until N1 hits 10%, which it already is. And we'll feed fuel to the engine. We'll wait till that settles. And engine 4 is starting to come alive. And it's stable, so now we can go back up top and flip it over to 3. Start engine 3. Wait for 10% for N2. There it is. Feed fuel to that engine and wait till it stabilizes. It's a pretty cool plane, this RJ Professional. I like it a lot. It's a lot to learn compared to flying my Airbuses, but hey, it is what it is. So it's fun, though. I enjoy it immensely. And engine 3 is starting to fire up. Wait till that stables out. Or becomes stable, actually. Which should be right about there. We'll go back up top and we will flip it over to engine 2. And we will start engine 2. Wait for N2 to raise above 10%. And feed fuel to it. And that will start to fire up also. We'll wait till that becomes stable. Looks like it's roughly around 23, 24 on N1, so let's let that do its thing. And it's just about there. Should be stable in a second. Looks like the IRS is finally aligned. All right, so engine 2 is stable. Up top over to engine 1. Flip that on. Wait for 10% N2. Bingo. Feed it some fuel. And we will wait until that becomes stable. It's a pretty cool plane. It's a regional jet. I'm not sure if they're... I guess they're still used, but I know for the airline I'm flying today, it definitely is still used, so... And the engine is starting to come alive. It's pretty down here. I mean, we are just literally within spitting distance of Antarctica, so we're pretty much as far south as you can go in the world. Okay, that engine 1 is stable. Let's go back up to the overhead and follow along. So we turn the start selector to off. Start master goes to off. Engine anti-ice can come off. Gen 1 and 4 can come on. Double click for both of those. Lights get extinguished, so that's coming on. Brake fan switch to auto. Bingo. Engine 2 and 3 pump comes to on. Engine 2 and 3 pump, which is right... Where the heck is it? Engine 2 and 3 pump to auto. There it is. Or, I'm sorry, to on. And on. Looks like we're getting some pressurization for the hydraulics right there. AC pump goes to auto. PTU comes on. All 5 heater switches come on. Let's turn the APU air back to on, and we will get some air conditioning via the packs to the cabin. Looks good, looks good, looks good. Okay, so now we're pretty much almost ready for taxi, so let's remove the chocks. Hopefully I got my parking brake on, which I do. We're not moving, so that's a good thing. It's always a good thing. And the... why are we not moving? There we go. Now we can move our transponder to TARA.
TCAS test.
I didn't mean that. Stop moving.
TCAS test. Pass.
There we go. TARA. Flaps will go to 18. We'll set our takeoff flaps. We can verify that here. Our flaps are starting to come alive. Looks good. Taxi lights can come to on because we're getting ready to taxi. Beauteous. All right, let's verify our MCP 131 is our V2. We will set our heading once we get out to the runway. That all looks cool. Going to turn on our flight directors on both sides. Captain and first officer. Going to set our trim. It's kind of cool in this plane because you could just basically click on your CG SMC percentage over here and it will set your trim. It should be within that range right there, which it is. Looks good. And, let's get ready to taxi out. So we'll do a cabin call here.
Cabin crew, please take your seats for takeoff.
Not quite ready for takeoff yet, but we're close. All right, let's taxi this plane out.
Cabin is secured for departure.
Nice, thank you very much. On the brakes, parking brakes can come off. Let's give it a little power. She should start moving. There we go. I'll use the rudders to steer us out to runway 26 in lovely Chile, or Chile, however you want to say it. It's all good. We're going uphill, so let's give it a little bit more power. Come on. I think it's a cool plane. Aircraft, sorry. All right. Let's taxi out to runway 26. Then we'll be off to our destination of leg 1 or episode 1 of our tour from the southernmost airport in the world to the northernmost airport in the world. And basically got the idea of this from a YouTuber called Noel Philips. You should look up his channel. He flew this in real life. Didn't fly it. I mean, he was a passenger, but he's not a pilot. But thought it would be a cool idea to do. This is basically going to take us from South America to north of Norway, basically across the Atlantic. Now let's line up with 26. Looks good. Parking brakes can come back on. Let's set up our heading. Perfect. Sorry, just checking in my notes or my checklist here. So back up to the overhead. The landing lights can come on. Strobes can come on, which are up here. Auto throttle, we're going to arm that. Well, it says line up on center line on the runway with the parking brake on, which we have. Perfect. Page 3 of my checklist. Okay, we're ready to rock and roll here. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to increase the engines to roughly about 50%. We should get a check thrust. Then we'll increase them to about 80%, which will be set thrust or thrust set, call out. Hit toga, release brakes, and take off. So here we go. Wish me luck. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to set my altitude. We're going up to 18,000 today, so let's set that. Perfect. Okay. Feet on brakes. Give it some power.
Check thrust.
There's the check thrust.
Thrust set.
Thrust set. Off the brakes. And toga.
Airspeed allowed.
20 knots.
Ease back on the yoke. Try to maintain center line. Which I'm doing a horrible job at. Go and rotate. So off we go. Into the wild blue yonder.
Positive climb. Gear up selected.
Gear can come up. That's a really cool plane. We are going to turn on LNAV, turn on level change, turn on the autopilots, and let it do its thing. Up and away we go. I'm going to increase speed to 210. The nose will start to drop as it's doing now. And wait for the call out to retract our flaps. While that's going, I'm going to have a sip of coffee.
Speed checked. Flaps 0.
Thanks much, First Officer. Flaps will come up. Once those flaps get retracted, we'll set our speed to 250 since we're below 10,000 feet and continue out on our climb. Looking good so far. The RJ Professional by Just Flight, fantastic plane. The workload's a little heavier than in your typical Airbus, but I think it's a fun plane to fly. Alright, I think we can roll it up to 250 now for the speed. The nose will drop. And she will continue to climb out. Now we just basically
Ladies and gentlemen, the cabin crew have been released to begin their service, but please note that the seatbelt signs are still on.
Now we will just wait until we get up to 10,000. Actually, while we're at it, checking on my list here, we can turn the engine air on for all 4 engines. APU air can come off. APU can come off also. We already hit the cabin call because they already called it out in the back, so now we basically wait till 10,000. Climbing through 6,700 feet. And those mountains in the distance are the Andes Mountains, which pretty sure runs the length of South America. This looks like absolutely gorgeous country out there. Yeah, maybe one of these days Parallel 42 will get off their asses and actually develop for 24. I don't know why they're taking so long, because chase plane would be really sweet to have now in 24, but unfortunately it's only available for 20 right now, so I guess we just gotta wait. And we continue to climb out. I believe Mount Darwin? Somewhere over here. Which I think is the highest mountain in the lower part of Chile. Or Chile? Chile, I guess you could say. And we're coming up through 9,600 feet right now, so we will pay attention to our 10,000 foot checklist here, which is basically to retract the landing lights. We can let the cattle roam in the back by turning his seatbelt off.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has switched off the fasten seatbelt sign. You are free to move about the cabin.
Roll our speed to 280. And continue to climb up to our cruise altitude of 18,000 feet. We are going to tell it to climb normal. And there she goes. Up, 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 and away we go. Basically, at this point, we're just going to monitor for top of descent. So let's see where that's going to be on our VNAV page. I think we should get to our cruising altitude of flight level 180 in about 13 nautical miles. So once we get up, we can monitor for top of descent. Sorry, just had another sip of coffee. Excuse me for doing that. I'm going to flip over to our descent and landing checklist page, which we got some time, so don't worry. So now we will just basically cruise. Hopefully everybody has had a wonderful day out there. It's kind of a nice day here in the east coast of the grand old United States, so figured why not. Let me get back into streaming here by doing this and do this series. Like I said, we're going to be doing a 6-part series, basically flying from the southernmost airport in the United States to the northernmost the southernmost airport in the world to the northernmost airport in the United States. What that kind of looks like is, no, that's not what we wanted. We wanted, let me pull up my notepad here. So these are the individual legs, so to say. There's 6 of them. So we're flying the first one from Puerto Williams to Punta Arenas, and Punta Arenas to Santiago, Santiago to Buenos Aires across the pond to Frankfurt, Germany, Frankfurt to Oslo, and Oslo to, I can't pronounce that, so good luck. But that'll be our final destination. I don't even know what the flight time is today. Let's take a look. Flight time today is... air time is 42 minutes. Block time is 1 hour and 10 minutes. So not really a long flight. I think the longest flight of this whole journey will eventually be from South America over to Germany. I think that's probably 10 hours or so. Assuming we'll do the... I don't know, probably do the A350, maybe the 380. It would be nice if the 777 by Boeing is available. I could always try it to see if that works in 24. I've had good luck with the 737, so possibly the 777 will also work. I know PMDG is working their butts off to get that, compatible with 24, which, contrary to popular opinions, is not a hot mess. I know a lot of people want to say that, but I've got over 500 flights in 24 since it was released, and over 100 hours of flight time, and not really much of an issue. So, just saying, that's my experience. So, take that as you will. Through 17,000. 18's our cruise, and that's also where we're going to switch over to standard for the barometric pressure. Another sip of coffee, because coffee does you good. And we're starting to level off at roughly 18,000 feet. And the engines are starting to spool back. It sounds like we're going to hold that 280 knots. And she does her thing. Certainly is pretty out there. Okay, we're in alt hold, so I like to be proactive and set myself up early. So let's check our charts out for our arrival. It looks like we want to eventually descend down to 3,000, so why not set that in the MCP while we're at it. We'll roll that back to 3,000. What is the course for our ILS pickup? It's 256. So we're going to make sure we set this to our course on both the captain's and the first officer side to 256, which we're doing right now. 256. Set the barrow on the altimeter. So our barrow height is, our decision is 312. We'll roll this to, there's 300. Close enough, not an exact science when it comes to that. Decision altitude to 200. Perfect. And we wait till top of descent, and we will start to head down. Let's see how far out we have to go still. Top of descent's about 60 miles out, so let's roll. There's our top of descent marker right there. Set our heading to match the course we're on right now, which is roughly 319, and so far so good. Wonderful flight here tonight on this St. Patrick's Day weekend. So happy St. Patrick's Day, or St. Paddy's Day, to all the people out there to celebrate this. Looking forward to the meal tomorrow, and maybe a wee bit of Irish beer, probably Guinness, or maybe not. We'll see. We'll see what we got on tap here at the old household. The Andes mountain range, it's beautiful. This would be a part of the world I would eventually like to visit someday. Don't think I will ever get the chance, but seems like it would be pretty cool to go visit. So this is sort of like an Airbus. So basically what you do for when you hit top of descent, you basically have to tell it to start descending. And in the RJ Professional, from what I've learned, is basically you do that by vertical speed. So we'll probably start heading down like 2,000 feet per second. Or, I'm sorry, 2,000 feet per minute. I always get those mixed up. And start descending that way. Unlike the Boeing, which as soon as it hits the TOD, it starts to descend by itself. But as you can see, looks like we're coming up roughly on 40 miles out to top of descent. Looking good so far. No funky lights up on the overhead panel. That's always a good sign. What I should do is I should tune. You have to tune in your ILS frequency, which is 109.9. Yeah, 109.9. So let's tune that into 109.9. We'll tune that both on the captain's side and the first officer. 109.9. Not going to switch it over yet. We got some time before we hit top of descent, so nothing fancy in this plane too. No brake to vacate. No fancy this, fancy that. A little bit old school, a little bit not. It's a great plane by Just Flight. Especially if you want a little bit of a break from the typical, Airbus or even Boeing. Got features of kind of both planes, to be honest with you, but fun plane to fly. Not doing a whole lot of hand flying this trip, but it hand flies really nice. It's worth a look. I am looking forward to. I know they just Flight put out their Fokker 28, which is a very cool plane also, and that's a lot more old school than this, so I'm gonna have to eventually do a deep dive into that and see where that takes me. So what's our top of descent? Where our top of descent is roughly 34 miles. We're just gonna keep an eye on that. We'll roll our range down to 40. Now, I like to prepare early, so I'll probably start heading down about 10 miles out. And I'll take another sip of coffee. And maybe a sip of something even more adult. We'll see. Look at this joker over here. You gonna do any work there, buddy, or are you just gonna hang out there and, look pretty? Yeah, to be honest with you, I'm the only one that truly looks pretty in this flight, so not you, first officer. I never closed the cabin door. I guess we can do a little bit of... Now, if I would have did my GSX, we would have had passengers in this plane, but there are none, because I never did a full GSX loadout. Well, that's a cool little view. I like that. We'll save that one. Those engines, those dual engines, 4-engine plane. Pretty safe, right? We hope so. We're coming up to 20 miles to top of descent, so like I said, it's a pretty quick flight. So, again, this is going to be the first of the series, and anybody who hasn't, check out Noel Philips on YouTube. He does a lot of flying around on different airlines, and he inspired me to do this series. Like I said, it's the southernmost airport in the world to the northernmost airport, and this was the first leg he did. He didn't fly on a RJ-85. I don't remember what he flew on, but you can look up his YouTube video and watch his video on it. It's pretty cool. Top of descent's roughly about 20 miles out. 17. Everything's going swimmingly now. That's always a good thing. Last thing you want to do is lose an engine or two or three. Actually, you probably could lose two and still fly this plane, but we won't test that theory out. I'm not even sure if this plane has failures. Maybe it does. I haven't really looked into it all that much. It is a cool plane, though, so let's pull up our chart again. Let's roll our range down to 10. We are just about there, so we're going to start to do our descent. We'll follow along with my checklist again, which I've created following other YouTubers out there who have flown this plane. British AV Geek is one of them in particular. And Just Flight has a nice 3 or 4 part series on this plane to get you up and running in an example flight, basically. So we're about 9 miles out to top of descent, so let's start sending this plane down. So in this plane, activate vertical speed, and we're going to dip it down about 2,000 feet per minute. Not second, but per minute. And she's going to start to come down. So we'll back up to the overhead. We're going to verify PTU is on. I should have switched that off before. That was a mistake on my part. We're going to set our landing VREF speeds. So in this plane, we're going to go flaps 33 or 33. So basically, if you click on here, it's going to set it. So 33. 117 is our VREF speed. 172 is the VFTO speed. That looks good. Verify our landing altitude is still at 100 feet, which is fine, which it is. And now we're going to wait till we get down below 12,000 feet. And once we get down below 12,000 feet, we're going to, or at 12,000 feet, or roughly around there, we're going to start to roll back our speed to 250 knots. I wonder if you can see me in the cockpit. Sorta. You can kind of see me in there. There's our first officer looking suave and debonair as always. In the meantime, I'm going to swap over our ILS frequency on both the captain side and the first officer side. We're going to flip that to on. The less I got to do, the better, so might as well get out of the way early instead of waiting. And down, down, down we descend. Down, down, down to Goblin Town. Anybody remember that? I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, so Goblin Town is a biggie here. Love that song. And if you really are a geek, just look up Leonard Nimoy singing Goblin Town on YouTube. It's interesting to say the least. So we're coming up through 12,000 feet, so we're going to slowly start to roll our speed back down to 250. And basically we wait until we drop below 10,000 feet now. And then we'll go through the 10,000 feet checklist, which is seatbelts on, landing lights on. I don't know. I think it's a cool looking plane. And again, it's 4 engines, right? So you must be safer. And we're coming down through 10,000 feet, so let's get our landing lights on. Fasten up the passengers in the back.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has switched on to fasten seatbelts on. Please return to your seats and fasten your seatbelts.
There's 10,000. Hopefully we're down to 250. I'll throw out some speed brakes to slow us down a tad bit to get us to that point. Looking good. So our next thing we're looking for here is 5,000 feet. 5,000 feet, we're going to turn the APU back on. And eventually reduce speed to 210 to set up for the approach. Well, let's take a look at something here. Well, let's roll it back. We probably don't need to be coming down at 2,000 feet per minute. Let's roll it back to 1,500 because we're going to hit 3,000 feet well before we start to turn in for our ILS approach. Good. I believe at this point we're probably over Argentina over here. Chile is over to our left. Through 7,000 feet. We're waiting for that 5,000 feet number. That magic number. Woohoo! Roughly about 20 miles before we start picking up the localizer and eventually the glide slope to put this plane down on the ground. Maybe we'll reduce the vertical speed down to 1,000. I think we got some room to play here. It looks good. Looks like we're still looking at the green banana here. We should hit 3,000 feet before where we need to turn in for the localizer, which is roughly about 20 miles out right now. And down to Goblin Town we go, or to our destination, Carlos Ibanez del Campo International, Punta Arenas, Chile. Sorry if I'm pronouncing all of that wrong, but I probably am, but who cares? Another sip of coffee. Unfortunately, coffee it goes through you, so hopefully I can hold off on the pee, so to say. Get this bird down on the ground. If not, I will pause it out as we're coming through 5,000 feet right now. So we're going to go back up top. We're going to start the APU on. Once that fires up, we'll turn on the APU air, turn off the engine air, and then reduce speed down to 210. We can do that now. We got to start slowing this thing down. Throw out some air brakes to start slowing us down. And our APU is started, so we can turn on APU air and turn off the 4 engine airs. And what we're going to eventually do here is once we get close to that left-hand turn here, we're going to eventually turn on VOR LOC to lock up the localizer. Lock up the localizer. That's fun to say. Come on, everybody now. Lock up the localizer. No, I can't sing. Who cares? Down we go through 3,000 feet. 3,000 feet is where we have to pick up the glide slope anyways, and it's basically at CF25 waypoint, which should be, let's check on our flight plan, coming up. Oh, I got dual CF25s in here. Let's delete this one here. Don't need it. There we go. Much better. Gotta keep it clean. Because why not? We're off to Chile on our first leg of our trip from the southernmost airport to the northernmost airport. Obviously, I'm not going to do all 6 legs tonight. I guess I could, but that'd be a lot of flying. And I got corned beef and cabbage and Guinness to drink today, tomorrow, and into Monday, so go figure. We're going to turn on our VOR localizer in... Looks like we got about 1.8, 1.7 miles to our next. So let's turn it on now. Now we're going to reduce our speed to VTFO plus 10. So VTFO is
Localizer alive.
172. And the localizer is alive. So we're going to VTFO plus 10, which is 182. I'm going to drop it down to 172. Actually, let's go down to 170. We've got to start slowing down. I see the runway out in the distance.
Flaps 80.
Thank you much. Flaps go down to 18. Just set our heading. Drop our speed down to 160. Turn on approach mode. So we eventually will catch the glide slope. We got the localizer, so that's always a good thing. Landing gear can come down. Now what's our VREF speed? Our VREF speed is 117, so 117 plus 5, we're going to set this for 122.
Speed checked. Flaps 24.
Flaps are going down to 24. Oh, I messed up. I don't think we're going to catch the glide slope. No, we're high. We're going to... You have to turn this mode on to VL, and I was way too late in doing it, so... Looks like we're going to do a manual landing out into Punta Arenas. Autopilot's coming off. We're going to dump our flaps down. Auto thrust disconnect. I butchered this big time. We'll make it work though. Try that again. Yeah, what can you do? Sometimes you make mistakes, you know? This plane's nice to hand fly, so it's not too bad. Our auto throttle is off, so we are controlling the throttles now, and obviously we're hand flying this. Eventually we got to go back to there. Runway 25 in Punta Arenas, Carlos Ibanez del Campo Internacional. A little bit slow. We'll make it work, I always do, so. Well, not always, but this flight we will. Not the most professional of flights, but hey, what can you do? Sometimes shit happens. Nope, sorry, I cursed. Hopefully I don't get dinged by the YouTube police. Should have did a full go around, but not playing those games tonight. We're just gonna make it work. Lights are on. Configured up top. Let's figure out where the runway is, which should be right there.
Glide slope alive.
Ooh, nice. There's a runway out in front of us. Line up with center line, which is always an issue for me, but hey, what can you do?
Glide slope captured.
I see 2 white and 2 red out there, so that's a good thing. And I see a runway, which is an even better thing.
1,000.
Cabin crew, please take your seats for landing.
A little slow.
Cabin is secured for arrival.
Getting a little low, too.
500.
All right. Let's make this memorable for the people in the back. Ooh, Jimmy. Looking good on the glide slope.
Minimums.
Coming in
100.
a little bit hot.
Air brakes out.
50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Whoop. Easy. And we're down. We'll take that.
Spoilers, yellow and green. Brake pressure checked.
And welcome to
60
Punta
knots.
Arenas. And we will look to vacate the runway. Which I think is going to be over here to our left. It is. Cool. Actually, I think we'll be turning around here at the end of the runway. Ooh, Jimmy. That was an interesting flight. Hey, we got it down though. We will taxi over to the terminal in the distance there. Not too bad. Minus 77. We'll take that any day of the week. Even though we all really know that those numbers mean absolutely jack shit when it comes to flight sim. Funky music we get going on here in the cabin. All right, in the meantime, we can turn our landing lights to off. Taxi now. Where the heck do we go? We can turn here. Welcome to Carlos. Ibanas del Campo Internacional. International, actually. In Punta Arenas, Chile. Or Chile. Don't know how I should say that, but hey, I'm going to say it the way I do it, so. Well, it was an okay flight, you know. Kind of screwed up the arrival into it, but hey, we made it work because I am a professional jackass, but yeah, I am what I am, so what can you say? Oh, you know what? I never turned traffic on. Should have used Beyond ATC. We could have had some traffic here, so it's going to be absolutely squat. Yeah, I know. I should be stopping at these runways before I cross. Probably should be contacting ATC, but you know, here at King Bob's Kingdom, we break the rules. Now, let's stop right here. Believe there is parking available for us. How about 6? Show me the spot and activate it right in front of us. Let's go for it. We will do Latam or Latam. I'm digging that music. I could dance to it. Hopefully you're all out there dancing too, because it's pretty cool and pretty neat. All right. There's my GSX dude who's going to guide me to a perfect, or maybe not so perfect. Let's see. Let's see how we do this. Can we get a dance? 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 Can we? Oh, probably not. All right, we're going to put the parking brake on. Landing light or taxi lights can come off. Seatbelts are off. Cool music in the back. We will turn off our engines. 4, 3, 2, and 1.
Doors to manual and quick check.
I love that music. Yeah, I know. No dance from my GSX, but hey, what can you do? Get a little deboarding going here. Well, that was a pretty successful flight for stage 1 or episode 1 of this thrilling series. As we fly from the southernmost airport in the world to the northernmost airport in the world, thanks to Noel Philips for giving me this idea. So, looks like we got, do I need to do something here with GSX? Looks that way. All right, let's open up some doors so these dopey dudes can do their thing. Chalk it up. I can open them up. No, it's not. We got to do it ourselves. Alrighty. Yeah, we got to open up the aft passenger side, and why not the forward passenger side too? And we will deploy the stairs because I think it's pretty cool. Where's my stairs? Here they come. Down they go. I love the little animations in this. And now we shall wait until the bus comes as they unload our plane, our flight. Oh, I see a bus in the distance. Where's he going? Oh, that's a interesting move there. Wish I could drive like that. Where you going, dude? All right. As the passengers unload. And again, not one to brag, and I hate these stupid numbers, but yeah, that's pretty good. Just saying. I wonder if we're going to actually get any passengers coming off this, because we actually didn't really load any. Should have started that by the full GSX loading in our... Oh, here they come. Yay. I don't see anybody complaining. Nobody's throwing up. Nobody's getting angry. And one at a time down the stairs, please. So, it was a pretty successful flight, so I'm going to call it quits here for the evening. Let's see where my second leg will eventually be. Second leg is going to be from Puntas Arenas to Santiago. That's probably going to be Airbus territory. We're not going to take the RJ up in that, but that'll be our next flight. Maybe a 320, maybe a 319. We'll see. Got to see how far that leg actually is. I know this leg from Buenos Aires to Frankfurt's a long one. So that will be 380 or 350 territory. But well, I hope you all enjoyed this stream. I know I did. I mean, it was thrilling and, you know, exciting beyond belief. If you like this content, give me a like, maybe subscribe, maybe not. Whatever. I'm not going to be a YouTube, you know, I'm not going to make money off YouTube, basically, because I just don't have enough viewership and I just don't have enough content and I'm not that good at it. So, but, you know, hey, it is what it is. So I enjoy doing this. I enjoy showing off planes like this RJ-85, which from Just Flight is a fantastic plane. If you're looking for something different from Boeing and slash Airbus, give it a look-see. So this is King Bob. Hoping you all have a wonderful evening, and I will see you again. I'm going to probably try to fly the second leg within the week or so. So stay tuned. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. This is King Bob. Cheers.